Well, it's Friday. Friday is here, and Joe Jaquin is still trying to feel a little better. He's got a little cold going on and some issues, and probably could have maybe muscled onto the air today. He probably could have muscled through today and got in on the show, but you know what? He's got a big meeting on Monday, and very important to talk about the meeting in Arizona. The 15th, which is Monday, there'll be a meeting. You'll have to forgive me, I forget the exact time. I know you guys are putting in some reservations for the spots available at Dave & Buster's. And you will have guys from Texit there to explain what's going on with Texit. And you can answer questions that have complaints or concerns or whatever it is you want to do when you're there. And you'll get your update. I know very briefly that I guess Bobby Gray had his deposition with the SEC. I don't keep up on that stuff very much, but let's just say they didn't. It was in London. They didn't arrest him and haul him off. So I guess it was a good deposition. The information was given to the SEC. I'm sure the court case in August, or if it ends in August. I mean, these court case things I know that there's a big hope that it'll all be over with and Tex will be exonerated in August, but sometimes, this is the government and it's a court case with high-end lawyers. You never know. They could, we'll push it back till 2027. Oh, yeah, we'll push it back halfway through 2027. I don't know, but all of those things, you can ask those questions because those guys will have more knowledge of, whatever knowledge they have, they'll be able to give to you at the meeting on Monday. So be sure if you're interested and you want to know what's going on with the Iskander and Texaco that you show up in Arizona at the meeting at Dave & Buster's. I'm just getting set up. I was a little behind the eight ball myself trying to get everything set up. But the number to call, we are a Patriot Trading Group. We are a gold and silver seller. You can order gold and silver from us if you're listening to this in Arizona, if you're listening to this show in Colorado, or if you happen to be streaming it in from anywhere, you can call this number, 800-951-0592. That number again is 800-951-0592. And I'm going to have a special that'll be coming up maybe in the next segment. Gold is essentially flat right now. It's down a couple of dollars at a price of about $4,210. Silver is down about a quarter. It's at $67.09. There's been this pullback in silver and gold here recently, so the prices are a lot lower. You can buy more gold for your dollars currently. You may want to take advantage of that. I'll have the special, like I said, on the next segment. And I'm going to talk on the next segment. I'm going to bring Jack in on this. And gold and silver is, it's something that is not short term. It's a long term situation. It's not an item that you buy and turn around and flip it. It's not what it's designed for. It's a store of wealth. And when you're moving wealth, look, to spend gold, then it's just the way it is. It's not the money anymore. Any asset you have has to be turned into currency before you can spend it. That's just the way it works. Now, you can trade assets. If you have a situation where you can trade gold for property, then that's always a bonus, but not everybody can do that. So you have this store of wealth, and then you sell it, turn it into currency so you can use it for wherever you're going to spend it on. And it's more of a long-term play. You put your savings in gold and silver, you let it sit there and do what savings does. It holds its position, and gold and silver savings is way better than currency savings because the currency is being devalued. And when I was getting into gold and silver, and I started to understand it more and more, and I started to sell it on the side before I met up with Joe and joined up with the Patriot Trading Group, I learned a lot about, all of the utility uses, and I said, hey, instead of, I had a young son, and I was like, well, and how about instead of saving a bank account or whatever, something out of the bank, or a savings account, why don't I start saving for Jack's future, and I'm going to put it in metals. And then when Jack reached a certain age, I approached him with a deal, and so we'll talk about it. And people have heard me talk about it. We'll go deeper into that. We'll get Jack's take on it, and it's not a very complicated story. It's actually a very simple story, but it's kind of nice to go over the timeline because it takes place over years, and that's the way gold is supposed to be looked at, over the course of years. It's not SpaceX. SpaceX has their IPO today. Oh, I bet the information. I haven't even looked at any of the information currently about it, but I'm sure it's a big deal. It's going to be a big deal for the next couple of months, and it's a play that you buy into something. It's you're making an investment. You're taking bets, and then maybe when the IPO goes up in value, hey, I'm going to sell some of it, and make a profit. You can do that with some of these stock. These stock options, these abilities to these different products that are available. But with gold and silver, it's a long-term strategy. It's something you have to look at as a long-term partnership. And we'll do Jack's. Jack's a young guy, but he's done well with how he tended to his savings as he grew up. So we'll talk about that when we get back. We'll get a gold and silver special out. So stay with us. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'll be right back. Welcome back, Patriot Radio News Hour. The number to call, 800-951-0592. And today we have a gold special and a silver special. Let me get to that right now. As I said, gold and silver. Silver's down a little bit, but gold's kind of flat. $20 liberties. The old 1 ounce spendable coin from 1933 and earlier, before they ripped gold out of the possession of Americans. $20. $20, just stay $20 for decade upon decade upon decade upon decade. And then we got our happy centralized bank, centralized financial system starting in the early 1900s. And then the gold just left. It only took from the central bank to the confiscation only took 20 years. We're more than 20 years from the turn of the century. It's 2026. That's how quick it turned from a $20 valuable coin that you could have in your possession to being taken away from you, and now gold today is, well, you can get one of these guys for $4,250. $4,250. This is just the way it is. I know that for a lot of people, this is pricing you out. But we have a silver special. And by the way, Joe in Arizona, myself here in Colorado, we've always got odds and ends. We don't talk about this a lot. You could always call us here or call me here in Colorado, or if you're in Arizona, you can just call 800-951-0592. You can always talk to the staff and say, hey, I just want to roll of dimes, or do you got anything small to buy? Just call before. Don't just show up. It's always better just to call, because you show up and we don't have anything. But Joe and I are keeping our inventory pretty lean, but we've always got stuff sitting around. You can give us a call and buy anything you want. Anything we got, we'll sell it to you. But today's special, you got the $20 gold liberties, $20 liberty 1 ounce gold pieces for $4,250. On Silver Eagles, the price came up pretty good yesterday. It's kind of holding that position today. We have a roll of Silver Eagles for $1,475. $1,475, a roll of Silver Eagles. Number to call, 800-951-0592. I don't have the number available. You'll have to call and get an update on that. I am not in Arizona, so we run most of these specials from Arizona. I am holding down the fort, and get yourself some gold and silver today. My son's story. So Jack is available to. I'm gonna kind of tell the story, and I'll have Jack add some details. I started seriously selling gold and silver in 2015. I was doing I was doing some gold and silver in 2013, 2014, but I got kind of serious about it in 2015, and that was also the year Jack was 11 years old, and I came to him, and then Jack, I don't know if Jack remembers the conversation. I do, because I thought it was really important. Jack, probably didn't really understand how important it was when he's 11, but we have a good relationship. Jack's an only child, so there's no sisters or brothers to deal with, and any of that. So, when we have a talk, it's between him and me, or a mom and me, and him. And so I came to him and I said, hey Jack, when you earn money, because he was really interested when he was 11. And he did some work when he was 10, but when he was 11, he started wanting to get some of his own money and mow a lawn or do work for grandpa and grandma. And there, you could have my mom and dad have 5 acres of property. They always got tree branches and big, huge areas of weeds to mow and things. I said, all right, Jack, how about this? I want you to be able to do whatever you want with your money. I'm a freedom guy, right? But I also, since you are a kid, I got to guide you. I got to teach you things. So you don't get full freedom as a child, because the parents have got to guide. So I was like, here's the deal. Half of everything you earn from now until you move out of the house, you give it to me. The other half, I don't care what you spend it on, because I'll be happy that you put half of it somewhere very important. I said, I'm going to put it in silver. I'm going to put it in gold. And Jack agreed to this. When he was growing up, I was big into Legos, but I wasn't huge into Legos. But I really like Legos, and Jack, we were doing Legos, I think, for a couple of years before this agreement, and then a couple of years after that. But Jack kind of fell out of Legos a couple of years later, and Jack was saving up silver. I could show him his stash of silver as it was growing, and I had all my old Legos, and he wasn't. I think he was 14. He wasn't doing Legos at all anymore. I think maybe 13. And I put an ad. Jack, do you remember? I think it was a Craigslist ad, was it? I can't remember.
Something like that, yeah.
And we just put. We had 2 bins full of Legos and the books and some of the boxes we had. And some guy reacted to the ad, and I believe, if I get this right, I think they gave us $800.
I think it was, between 500 and 800, somewhere in there. But yeah.
We got a $10 Indian. We cashed the Legos into a $10 Indian, which was between $500 to $800. All I know is we were able to cash it into it might have been $600. So Jack continued to do odd jobs and work, and then I did give him one other. I gave him one other part of the deal. It's like, hey, when you get a taxable job, I'll drop the amount of savings you have to give me to 25%, because he's going to have taxes, right? He's going to start paying the. He's going to be paying the protection money from the federal government and the IRS. So I was like, well, I won't take half his money, because he's working a job that it's like a regular gig. Which, Jack, you were doing during pre-COVID and during COVID, you started working that Amazon thing in the neighborhood, right?
Yes, in some guy's garage. Working out of his garage. Jack
kept stashing it away when he's 11 years old, when he's 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old. Every time any kind of money showed up, and then sometimes some birthday money and some other things, we would just keep stashing away. We're saving. Gold and silver is savings. I keep saying that on the air, and the reason I can say that is I have the experience. Jack and I have experienced what this kind of savings has done. Obviously, you have to have the discipline to put it away and not spend it. But I kind of made it easy for Jack, because it's kind of hard for a kid to grab a roll of silver and just go sell it, right? Especially when in 2018 I started selling with Patriot Trading Group. If Jack had a weak moment, right, you probably would have had to take it somewhere else, Jack, and then probably get a really low price, right?
Yeah, I have no idea how I would have done that.
Yeah, you would have
figured it out, but
you would have figured it out, got a low price. I'd be like, hey, well, why didn't you just sell it to me? And well, because you wouldn't let me sell it. It's like, that's right, you were still living with me. That was the deal. So you weren't allowed to sell it. So, but Jack never really he's not big into possessions and owning a lot of things. He's more of a he's more artistic minded and kind of just enjoys the moment. But in 2025, at the end of 2024, and the beginning of 2025, and it's actually the back half of 2024, Jack wanted to move out of the house. And Jack, you were 20. You were 20, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, his box of silver and then the amount of gold he had stacked up pretty good. Okay, and we understand that during COVID 2020, the price of gold went from $12.50 for one of these $20 liberties. Remember, you get a $20 liberty today on special, $4,250. Okay. Back when COVID hit, it was $1,250 to $1,300 for a $20 liberty, and then COVID hit, and then suddenly it was $2,000, $2,200, $2,100 for a $20 liberty. So we got into 2024, and gold started going up in 2024. And after Valentine's Day, started moving. And at the same time, Jack was planning with some friends to maybe move out. Well, Jack cashed it in, and he didn't. He bought a house instead of renting. And we were looking at rent, right, Joe? Jack, we were looking in Fort Lupton because we didn't know if we were going to be in Fort Lupton, and then we started looking in Johnstown when the winds have changed at the radio station, right?
Yep.
But we started looking at buying because we're like, well, I'm not buying you a house, but you have enough for maybe half a down payment depending on what we buy. Jack was able to cash out his entire amount. He had to be his entire amount, everything he had in gold and silver, came out to about $60,000. So from basically 10 years of saving, a little more than 10 years of saving, and Jack had put together about, at that point, $60,000 in silver and gold. But remember, the stuff he was earning when he was 11, 12, 13, 14, the price of gold was lower. His savings protected what he was doing for those years. I put $60,000 together. We became partners in buying a home here in Johnstown. And Jack is the half owner of a house. At the age of 20, he bought it. He was moving towards 21, but he was still 20 in January of 2025 last year. He's a half owner of a house. I mean, some people are like, oh, that's not a good investment. I know some people think houses aren't a good investment, but you got to pay to live somewhere, and you can build up equity. It gives you the ability to buy a house somewhere else if you sell the house you're in. And now Jack uses some of his crypto money because here he is. He's able to save more money as he's working here at the radio station. Put some money in the cryptos. He was in Texit Coin. He was able to move his Texit Coin through my advice. I'm always going to help him out with it. If Jack gives me suggestions once in a while, one of these days Jack's going to come with an idea, and we're just going to go on the radio station. We're going to be like, "Hey, everybody, we got something new to talk about." But Jack has an Orem position. He's been using that, and instead of having a bunch of spending money coming out of his Orem, he sold his Texit position and took some of the profit he was able to make when he sold Texit a little earlier than most people. And he bought his Orem position. Well, his Orem position, we've been able to add to it. He's pulling his daily Orem, and he's, instead of spending it or buying gold and silver, he wants to pay off the house early. So I was like, all right, that means I have to pay off the house early too. So Jack throws me $1,000 in Orem returns. I have to throw $1,000, and we pay an extra $2,000 on the principal of the house. And because you know what? I mean, paying down debt isn't always the number one thing you want to do. But, I mean, if you can get a house paid off, then one less payment, right? Or you can refinance it into a lower payment. These are the things that parents should be doing, in my mind, with their children from early on. Saving for a college education, you better be smart about that. I think you should be saving for a college education if the child needs a college education to move into a field that's going to do really well for them, or if it's their life's dream to be whatever it is they go to college for. But what you should do with that college savings is, hey, this kid doesn't need college, and by the way, you probably should be saving for that college education in gold and silver. You could put it in the stock market and some fund or something, but I'll tell you right now, gold outperforms that stuff. At worst, it's even with the Dow or the S&P or any of that stuff, but the gold usually outperforms the S&P over a long enough timeline. Saving for that college for college for your kids, which really should be, okay, this kid better be smart. This kid doesn't need to go to college. Let's put it into whatever he's going to move into. Hey, and then the Jack's, I encourage Jack. Jack wasn't too keen on the idea, but when COVID hit in 2020, and Jack it was just, that was the year he was finishing his 10th grade year. He had been at a private school, and I pulled him out of the private school because the private school was starting to reflect a public school. So I was like, why am I paying for a public school? And Jack was essentially he had high school education after 9th grade. And when COVID hit, I was like, all right, Jack, you've got the Jason diploma of high school education. Yeah, you're done. You're done. You're going to come to the radio station and start earning some money. And, hey, Jack's is a high school dropout. His dad's a high school dropout. My wife, his mom is a high school dropout. 800-951-0592. That number again is 800-951-0592. Gold and silver. We have $20 Liberties for $4,250 today. We have rolls of Silver Eagles for $1,475. That's the special today. It's a Joe Free Friday. Give us a call. We are ready to take your orders right now. If you listen to the story in the last segment, I mean, it does you well to do something that's not of social norms. Most people, they get a job, and getting a job is not bad, but you want to do something with that job. You want to progress in that job. A good job, if you get really good at it, could turn into a good business. Why are you working for somebody else when you can turn your skills into your own business? Hey, if you're a carpenter, you go build houses for XYZ Corporation that's building tons of houses, and you just get better and better. And you should always volunteer for other carpentry jobs and learn more, skills of the trade. And then once you're really good at it, you just do it yourself and you hire yourself out. When you have a job, just so people understand this, there's a middleman. There's a middleman between the company and the customer, right? And the company is shedding some of their profits to have you do the work, right? And that's that way. The guy the guy or the corporation, hey, they're taking less profit, but they're having somebody else do the work so they can get more jobs, hire more people, and their job is simply to just keep employment going and keep doing the work through having employees. But once you have the skills, you don't have to work for that corporation. You can go out and do your own, home improvement stuff. You can finish basements, or you can do some framing on independent homes that are being built. There's all you just got to know what it is that you're good at and capitalize on it. And you got to, if you do things that are not what the average guy out there is doing, that's how you do best. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get the same result as everybody else. And I don't know about you, but it seems generally the average American is not doing all that well. If you want to compare it to some third world nation, that's what they always do. Is like, wow, have you seen those guys in Africa that don't even have running water? But that's not how I compare myself. I compare myself to people that are doing better. How do I get what that guy's got? That guy is doing good. How did he get there? And most people are programmed not to even think this way. Most of the time we're programmed like you watch a movie, a Hollywood movie, and the rich guy is always the evil villain. We got to take down the corporate bad guy. Well, yeah, there's corporate bad guys, but maybe you should be asking, how did he end up in that position of making all that money? Right? Do I want to do the same thing? Can I take any pointers as to how he got there? I don't need to be just like that guy, but hey, how did he financially better himself so that he has more freedom to do as he wants to do? And I'm always constantly learning ways to be able to make life a little better. And so, Jack, you how do you like the guidance? Are you happy that you saved that money for the last 10 plus years and bought a house last year? Are you happy with the result?
Yeah, of course. It kind of sucked at times because I'd make my $100 from my grandparents' house for the weekend, and then I'd have to give away half of it, but I wasn't giving it away. I was giving it back to myself in the future, so it was worth it.
Do you remember what it's kind of interesting. You remember what I told you?
What?
When you first started doing this? I told Jack, I said I think when he was 11, I said the 21-year-old version of you is going to thank the 11-year-old version.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, yeah.
Right? I mean, aren't you pretty happy that 11, 12, 13-year-old Jack was playing into it?
Oh, yeah. It's the same now, too. You know, the things I do now at 22 are going to, help the 30, 40-year-old me. So
yeah, and you don't have to be super smart. And Jack is not a big math guy. He doesn't really, he leans on me on some of the financial stuff. But I did the same thing when I was a kid. My dad is a mechanic. He is so handy. And when you're raising a kid, sometimes it's like, well, why doesn't my son want to learn the skills that I know? And sometimes I think the relationship is sort of a yin-yang, whatever the son is weak at, the father's strong at, and whatever the father is weak at, the son becomes strong at. And in my dad's case, being a mechanic, he built himself a huge garage, four-car garage with a workout center on the end of it. He built it himself, poured the cement and the foundation, and this is something he did, 25 years ago. And my grandfather, Jack's great-grandfather, was still alive. He was helping on it, and his brother, my Uncle Alan, was helping on it. And I can barely do the average things to keep things that are broken at the radio station from working. I'm glad I have a JD around to help me with some of these simple things. But as my dad was a lifelong mechanic, he's a retired mechanic. It's interesting. I had a nose for how do I not work so hard and turn it into better money. I think the way to make money is one of two things. You don't want to just work hard. The guy digging the ditch can dig ditches his entire life and live a miserable life and work harder than everybody else. You want to work smart. You want to be the smart guy in the room. But if you work only smart, that's where the corruption comes in. There's a lot of really smart guys on Wall Street. The ones that are stealing from other people when they break the rules, and then they get a slap on the wrist when they get caught. What you want to do is you want to work hard and you want to work smart. You don't want to work too hard and you exhaust yourself, and you don't want to be only working smart because you won't have a work ethic when it matters. And so you do both. You work smart and you work hard. And so my dad, being a mechanic, I was just doing like a lot of kids. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, and I was into certain things, and I became a pizza delivery driver. Now, pizza delivery driver appealed to me because I don't really work well with others, and especially I don't like supervision. I don't like bosses telling me go here and do this, go there and do that. Well, when you're a pizza delivery driver, if you're working for a good pizza delivery joint, you're on the road at least 2/3 of the time. So I don't have anyone breathing down my neck, and as long as I'm kicking butt and delivering faster and better than the other guys, I'm looked at as an asset. Plus, reporting tips, that was a questionable gray area for me. I just didn't really understand how to report tips, and 2/3 of my earnings came from tips. I get minimum wage. And we're going to talk about how that job and my dad being a mechanic, I think you guys are going to put this together, and I'll express how that works with me and Jack. Patriot Radio News Hour. We're Joe free today. He's been under the weather. He definitely wants to be up and strong and ready for Monday. There is a Monday Tex-It meeting. You guys got a RSVP. It's at Dave & Buster's. I forget the exact time of the meeting, but it's on Monday evening. And get to that if you want to meet some of the Tex-It guys and have at it. We have $20 liberties for $4,250. That's our special on gold today. I highly suggest if you've got it, put it away, just like Jack did. Put it away. Silver Eagles, that's what Jack bought a lot of Silver Eagles when he was saving his gold and silver. And we have Silver Eagles for $1,475 a roll. You do this and accomplish this by calling 800-951-0592. Kind of interested to see if Colorado will wake up and order a few more rolls of these things than Arizona. So I'm rooting for Colorado to show up the Arizona people by ordering more gold and silver than Arizona. Arizona, we have a bigger audience. Arizona, about 2/3 of our sales really goes through Arizona. Sometimes it's more when Colorado falls asleep, but once in a while Colorado can show them up. So I'm hoping on our Friday we get a few rolls of Silver Eagles sold on the Colorado side. But I was talking a little bit about time. Time is the one and only real commodity. Everything else is floating around. That has there's one commodity that the richest hedge fund billionaire thieving banker, Elon Musk. There's one commodity, and he understands. By the way, Elon Musk, he understands his commodity very well. It's the same. He has the same amount. He can't get more of it personally than you, the listener, the average guy going and doing a regular 9-to-5 job. It's time. You got Elon Musk, and you, the listener, has the same amount of time. But understanding the precious commodity of time, this is where everything else exists. This is where all of the other financial wizardry and corruptness happens on a large scale. Is because how do I get more time? Well, I'm not going to have more time myself. I have a life. It goes so many years, and that's it. But if I can get somebody else's time, that's the trick. And that's where commodities and currencies and assets and investments and all this stuff comes into play. And there's lots of ways that you can be very, very efficient with your time. And a lot of it comes, and this is where family is important, friends are important. You're able to, in your own community or your own circle of, like with the radio station, I have a circle of business owners I talk to. I use the commodity of time best when I have assets. I have contacts, important people. This is where you got to be respectful in certain circles. You can't always. You can't act like Howard Stern to everybody you meet all the time, because eventually you will lose that. You'll lose a lot of contacts and things that would make your life a lot easier. And so, how did I become very efficient? I was a pizza delivery driver in the very end of 2004, when they were giving away all those bad adjustable rate mortgages. Yeah, they gave me one of those stated income. I'm a pizza driver. Oh, yeah? How much do you make? It's like, well, how much do I need to make to buy a house? And my agent, she knew the whole game that was being played before the housing crash. She's like, well, I'll tell you what, this is a number that'll get you the house we're looking at. I was like, okay, I'll state that I earned that much money. They're not quite as loose nowadays, but I wonder if they're going to go back to that. But as a pizza driver, I had that fortune. I got a house, but my wife and I decided that Jack wasn't going to be raised by a daycare or the schools or anything, so she was a stay-at-home mom. Once in a while, my wife would work part-time stuff to help us with bills, but she raised our son. So I had to figure out, as a pizza delivery driver, and I had been doing this for years, I got really good at it, how to support an entire family buying a house as a pizza delivery driver. Now, I think we are way past that. I don't even know if this is even possible, even if you're as good of a pizza delivery driver as I was the best. In Longmont, it's a localized, you can be a pizza driver anywhere, but when you have to learn a new map, it does take you time to get good at it. But I stayed in Longmont. For all my years, I stayed in Longmont because that was my expertise. I knew where every pothole was. I know all the shortcuts, the alleys, everywhere to go when traffic got busy. I was super efficient. But there is this thing. This is where pizza delivery gets most people. This is where Uber drivers and these Uber Eats people, they work it for like a year and then like a year and a half, and then they get the taxes, and then the car breaks down, and they start figuring out, wait a minute, this car expense thing is making this job not so good. When you're getting the money coming in, it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. I get to drive around and cruise around my car and play my music, and it's awesome. And then suddenly you have to put new tires on. Right? Wait a minute. Now you're doing oil changes 3 times quicker than you used to. I used to do an oil change. I think it was like every 2 months. I was driving 60,000 miles a year. How did I make it work? Well, my dad was a mechanic. I took the asset around me. My dad's a mechanic. I became a pizza driver, which fit my mentality, which I didn't like bosses hovering over me all the time. And I had a dad who was willing to help me fix my car. He gave me the as long as I hung around and let him rag on me when he gets frustrated and he hurts his hand because the wrench came off or whatever. But he would do the work. Now, here's the cool thing. I had an 87 Toyota Corolla. I never got another car for year after year after year after year because when a part went off on the car, I went to Checker Auto Parts and got a lifetime warranty part. My dad, the mechanic, would put it on the car, and off I'd go deliver more pizzas. I also was a little thrifty when it came to paying taxes on tips. That, once again, the more you learn, the better your financial fortunes will be. And so suddenly the lifetime warranted part after riding that car hard would fall off. It's like, another alternator went out. I had bad electric on that car. Took the alternator back, got another one on the lifetime warranty, gave it to my mechanic dad. It was like a pit stop at a racing at a race car event, right? Did the pit stop, put that alternator on, got back in there, started driving pizza delivery again, and gave me the time and the ability while driving around in my car to think about how do I make money? What's this gold and silver thing? 800-951-0592. I want to finish up because I was kind of showing you the relationship between my dad and myself. Hey, I'm not very handy. I'm not very mechanical. I can get things done. It just takes me a long time. When you're skillful at something, you get it done. You can get it done fast and high quality. I can do a high quality fix on certain things, but it'll take me half a day. It takes me 4, 5, 6 hours, and something that would take my dad 25 minutes. Why spend 6 hours fixing something when I say, hey, Dad, come on over. I'll fix you something to eat, or whatever, and fix this thing that broke at my house. With my son and I see the same kind of symbiotic relationship, which is my son's very artistic. He hasn't really found a huge one. He hasn't focused on one passion, but there are things he's interested in. And the way I look at it, if he gets into a band or gets into some sort of media situation, I'm going to help fund whatever it is he gets into. We're going to be business partners. That's kind of how I see it. Jack's going to, when he hits, here's the thing about Jack too. And when Jack hits on what he wants to do, watch out. It's going to happen. It's going to happen on a very large scale. It's going to be very successful. And me being a money guy, it's like, hey, I'm going to try to encourage that. I'm going to invest in that, and I'm going to do well. And Jack's going to do well with it. So, you got to not do what the television tells you when it comes to your money. You got to take risk. You got to put faith in those that you should be putting faith in, even when sometimes the path doesn't make sense. Like, hey, should I take over a radio station that can't pay the bills? So sometimes you got to look through the fog of how you don't know what's going to go on and try to find paths and make it work. So, by the way, gold and silver is the way to start doing this. Get your kids into it. I'm telling you, if you do not have your kids and grandkids into gold and silver, and you don't have to push them into it, just do what I did. Make them put a commitment in. Hey, little Johnny, you turned 10 years old today. You're going to give me half the money of everything you earn. I'm going to put it in savings. And the 20-year-old Johnny is going to love 10-year-old Johnny when it counts. So once again, our gold and silver special today, we have $20 Liberties. You can buy those from the Patriot Trading Group for $4,250. Colorado, buy some. And we have Silver Eagles, $1,475 for a roll of 20 Silver Eagles. Colorado, start calling that number, 800-951-0592. Arizona, it would be, okay, it'd be nice if you guys would buy some as well. But if you don't, that's fine. I know I've got mine. I'm always going to try to add to my stack. You guys should be adding to yours. I was doing the pizza delivery. Now, I did get a text that came in. That the text line is 877-536-1360. It's Scott. There's no way you were a better pizza delivery driver than me. I'm sure I can prove it. I don't brag about being the best at anything, but there ain't nobody that delivered, especially in the city of Longmont. There was none better. My brother even thinks he was the best pizza delivery driver. It ain't happening, guys. It's Jason.